Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. Gee, that was a fun night last night. I actually just thought we should all give ourselves a big clap because I thought it was really amazing, the creativity of all of you as partygoers. So congratulations for doing that and all being here this morning. I also wanted to do a special congratulations to the best dressed costumes. And I don't know whether Amanda and Sharon are in the audience. Are you? Oh, you are. Great. Congratulations. Or I don't know whether it should be commiserations that you won the best dress for being the Great Pacific, garbage patch. So, you were having to carry around the garbage. I noticed there was quite a few people last night, including myself, walking around with a lot of garbage on us, plastic. We had, pinned on us, tied on us all over the place. So I actually lost count. I think after counting more than 10 people wearing it, I thought that was an interesting sign because not many people like wearing garbage. And I remember when I did start working in my parents' business and I was walking around in the back sorting waste and learning all the different plastics and which one went with what. And I started to tell friends at school that I was doing the sorting, and I quickly stopped telling people because they sort of screwed their noses up and said, ew, what would you want to do that for? But it's a whole big circle that I've come, and the tide has definitely changed. Anyway, I wanted to also share that this is the first time I've come to this conference, so obviously I've got 19 years of catch-up as it's just 20th anniversary, so it's a big year, so I really appreciate being here and thank Impact Environmental for inviting me. Greg, I'm not sure if the topic this morning coincided with your nautical theme because of what I'm talking about or whether it's because we are more concerned about what's going on in the ocean and about plastic in the ocean. I'm hoping that it is actually the latter. Anyway, it's a really good segue of what I'm going to talk about today. And I wanted to just give you a little information, although Gail's already given you some information about the charity and who we are. A couple of facts that I thought might be interesting for you to know. So in 2009, that was the beginning of when the film research and study and the work that we were doing took place. It actually took another 7 years for the movie to be made. Most of you know about the movie, but you won't probably know a lot about the detail. We went to 22 locations around the world, and that was to gather as much data as we could about what's going on in all the different areas. It's an adventure-style documentary which follows the journey of a diver and of a journalist. Jo Ruxton, who is the producer and the creator of Plastic Oceans Foundation UK, she didn't expect that there would be such an overwhelming response with this film. And we're now 2+ years on, and having won 11 awards internationally for this film, it really has been an eye-opener of how much there was a need for change. So there's just been quite an interesting journey just in that itself. So as Gail already mentioned, our mission, we have 3 pillars of work that we do. One is education, one is sustainable business, and the other is science and research. So we do a lot of work in these 3 different areas, but at the moment we're getting a really big take-up in what we're offering with our education programs, which I'll talk about a bit more later. So with Plastic Oceans Australasia, we are a global affiliate, as I've mentioned, the UK, but we also have Hong Kong. Hong Kong is actually where our distribution for the movie comes out, and so if anybody wants to see the movie and show it publicly, you do need to actually book it through there, but I can tell you about that later. In 2017, August, we launched Plastic Oceans in Canberra, in Parliament House. We were invited by Senator Peter Whish-Wilson, Tony Burke, and at the time the Environment Minister, Josh Frydenberg. And we had a behind-the-scenes showing of the full-length movie, which I thought was pretty amazing. So it was a tripartisan, apolitical support to watch the movie. So that was nearly 2 years ago. So that was our launch into introducing Plastic Oceans to Australia and New Zealand and the surrounding islands. So what I thought I would do for today, because I know that many of you will have seen the film, Have most of you seen the full-length version? If there's a show of hands, that'd be great. If not, yeah, a couple of you. Oh, not too many, okay. Then we also have the condensed version, which is 22 minutes, and that's the one that we show in the schools because it fits in really well with the school program for a 45-minute, 50-minute class for the kids. And then we have what I'm going to show you today is a little synopsis sort of the movie because we don't have a lot of time. So I think that you'll find that quite interesting to see that. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, this gentleman on the screen needs no introduction, and he's going to be our intro into what I'm going to show you. Yeah, a bit depressing, isn't it? I've seen this 1,000 times and it always affects me, and I think that we have a lot to do. 3 decades on, I don't see a lot of change, and that's why I've been so passionate about taking up what we do in what's going on now. Anyway, I think that it's really important to know that there is opportunities and things that we can do today. If you do want to watch the full-length film, which is 102 minutes, sorry, let's go back to there. If you do want to watch the full-length film, it's 102 minutes. You can download it off Netflix for free. Suggest you get your popcorn, sit back and enjoy the whole thing because it actually shows you the science behind the movie. There's there's a huge amount. That's obviously just a quick shot. As I said, it's only 8 minutes. And I think you'll find it, if any of you would like to know more about it, it gives you a lot more detail. So David Attenborough is a strong supporter of the film, and it actually was his relationship with Joe that spearheaded his recent movie as well. So he passionately believes that what's going on with the ocean is affecting everything with climate change, with what we're doing. It's at the top of the list, which you all know. As you all know, there are 400 billion stars in the Milky Way, and given that, there's 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic floating in the oceans. So that's 13 times more than what we've got with stars in the Milky Way. You saw on the film with the submarine with Mike going down, and it was 1,600 metres, and it's a startling revelation just this week while we've been here that we had the discovery of plastic just under 11 kilometres down, they said, on the floor bed by Victor Vescovo from the US, who has gone down to do some research. And what did he find? He found a plastic bag, and I think it was sweetie wrappers. So again, it's just everywhere. There is no way, and it doesn't matter what anyone says. It's right here. So I think that's enough sort of the doom and gloom stuff for you. Now, what do we do? So our challenge, and I think that's one of the reasons why Greg wanted me to join the dots for us today, because I believe that in the past with the conference you haven't directly had information or gone from the whole supply chain of going from the production of plastic and then how it ends up in the ocean. But the problem that we've got, one of the biggest problems we've got is that as we just saw and what I've just shared with you, and you've obviously all heard it on the news, it goes, who owns it? Nobody, it goes away, floats around in the currents. There's the Five Guys, and we've got all these plastic patches around the world, and people think that it's floating on the top. It's actually, there's more underneath than there is on the top. So it's hard to identify where it's originated from. So the questions that I've got there is, is it the material? Is it the source? Is it the stewardship? Is it the economics? Is it the plastic system? Well, it's actually everything. It's all of the above. And from a social impact point of view, we are really responsible for, everyone is responsible. Every time you have a drink from a plastic bottle and you throw that away, every single time, every one of us does something like that, we are responsible. So it's something that we really have to make a difference with. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I did... on my outfit last night, I was a scuba diver, and I actually pinned onto my suit all the garbage that I gathered coming from Melbourne to here on the plane, I had 14 pieces of single-use plastic that I was given on the plane on 2 flights, and that was just the obvious stuff. And then there's, you just carry on counting it up. Where does it go? I actually asked the flight attendant when we were getting off the plane. I said, because I always ask all these questions to people, and I said, what's going to happen to the rubbish that's, that you've taken and put in the, in the garbage bins, the garbage bags? And she said, nothing, the flight's too short, it'll just go into the bin. Straight up. No, didn't even, didn't think about it. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And then some of our longer haul flights, we do try and do recycling. So it's great that Qantas is doing something. It's great that Emirates is doing something, but it's so slow. It's all so slow. And the drive and the change really has to come from us. So I will talk a little bit more about that as well. But I just wanted to let you know, every single time we all take a piece, we're all responsible for it. So all these questions that I'm asking, I just want people to think about it. And of course, also, while we've been here, the good news is that you would have all heard and seen the newspaper article. This is actually from The Guardian on May 11th, which was last Saturday, I think it came out. The United Nations announced that nearly all the countries around the world, of course, except the United States, excuse my cynicism there, but, we all know that story, have signed up to say that they will make a pact to make a commitment to not trying to dump all their garbage, waste, plastic in the poorer countries. So that's really great, but there needs to be obviously a lot more done with that, and with that whole pact, and there's the plastic pact with the UK, and we've got a lot that we can do in Australia in that note. And I wanted to just mention on the picture before that I was talking about, you saw there was a map, and I'm sorry, we're missing not mentioning that. On that map and on the island, you saw on the film that we had Dr. Jennifer Lavers, who was on Lord Howe Island. Jennifer's actually on our board, and she's our science behind the research. She's actually also in the full-length movie. We saw her in the short, but there's a whole piece on what she does. So every year she goes to remote islands, and they do this count and this study every single year of the plastic and what's going into the seabirds, the deaths, and what's going on there. Her work is part of our research work that we do, and there's a number of programs that we're trying to get funding for to help further explore what we can do there to get the science behind. For example, one of the things we're working on is busting the myth on balloons. We're not, we want everyone to celebrate, we want everyone to have fun, but it can be done without balloons. And we're looking at different ways that we can help society look at, if you're having a birthday party or you're having a 21st or whatever it is, or a wedding anniversary, whatever it is, that you can do it without actually having a balloon. So there's a whole piece of work there, and so Jennifer's very much behind what we do there on our board. So that's been really valuable. So I just wanted to mention that. I missed that in the last slide. So I was talking a little bit to Gail before we started, and I said to her, look, I kind of didn't really want to follow my script, and I cut out 5 slides. And she said, no, actually, probably it's good if you do mention that, because it's only been mentioned in passing. And it was going back to what's the global solution of what we can do. And with us mirroring what the UK does, with us working very closely with Plastic Oceans Foundation in the UK, they're part of the UK Plastic Pact. As you know, it was initiated by the Ellen McFarlane Foundation with the New Plastics Initiative. So with that, the whole circular economy is being looked at, and I know there's been a lot of talk today about the circular economy and what we're looking to do. I think there is a lot that we can take from that, and there's a lot of data there. There's a lot of countries. There's over 125 countries, so actually over 125 that have actually taken up the Plastic Pact. And I know here in Australia with APCO and what's going on that there's been a lot of talk, and it would be great. I know Jane was here yesterday talking, and I've worked with her in the past. It would be great if we could facilitate further discussions with that. So what I wanted to mention is our role here with Plastic Oceans. We also do a lot of work in sustainable businesses, and I've got a little slide here that you can see. I won't run through each one because I've only got a few minutes to go, and I wanted to get through a bit more, and I've got one more short little video that I really wanted to show you. So I can maybe talk to you about this afterwards, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Our opportunity with us here, we have an opportunity to take a global collaborative approach. I'm really excited to talk to people more about that, as I've mentioned. But with us, we work on 3 levels. So we've got the macro, because we are a global affiliate. We pull on UK, we pull on Hong Kong, we pull on Canada, we've got South America, we've got, information and sources everywhere that we can work with. We would really like to be part of that network, and if any of you out there would be interested to talk to me afterwards, I'd really welcome that. We also have a program which is Relearn Plastics, and if you want to work collaboratively with us and some of our partners, and I know Samantha Cross is here from Cross Connection, and she was talking yesterday about plastic police. She's local here in New South Wales. If you're interested to do some work with us, we'd love to talk to you some more. We've also then got the community initiative, which is actually what I was mentioning in the beginning, which is exploding, which is our schools program. And that's for you. There's a lot of government agencies here, and the best way to get our message out there is by us being able to give you our package, which is the movie, material that you can give to teachers, by teachers, peer-reviewed, which has been internationally recognised, and we've got that available for teachers so they don't have to think about the plastic, it just goes straight into the curriculum. And then we've got a schools challenge program that we do as well, which is for primary and secondary schools, and it's unilaterally the same, so everything is the same. It's not sort of all muddled up at different levels. So I'm also talking at conferences with teachers. I'm talking at a lot of different places this year where people want the data. So we have that pack, and if you as councils or other government agencies or businesses would like to get on board, we'd be really delighted to help with that. And we also have an education officer who helps with that. Very quickly, I've got this, just the 3 circles with it. We can go on, and you can go on and see our strategic plan. It's all there for you to have a look at, which shows how we intertwine with what we're doing and working together with all 3 areas. To end on a lighter note, I have one more little clip for you, which only takes literally a couple of minutes, so I hope that'll be okay. But it's really important. I think you should see this, because this is was set up. It was hidden cameras in a cafe, and it's very recent. So, just so you know, these people were all asked after the filming was taken. They were all asked if they didn't mind. Obviously, we had to get their consent, and they now know that they're internationally recognised, because we use this a lot, because it tells a really important story. So the reason for that is to really hit home the message that that's not a joke. We no longer eat fish. I'm a vegetarian, surprise, surprise, but in my family, we haven't eaten fish for a very long time. Fish carries the microplastic, the microbeads, the microfibres, whatever you want to call them, and you can't see it. You're eating it, you're eating it, you're eating it. And the plastic that goes into landfill, it leaches out. Those toxins go down into the groundwater, into the waterways. So in whatever way you look at it, we are consuming plastic, whether we know it or not. Now, the reason that was a good one to have, and it was a little bit of a light-hearted, it is very true, but what I wanted to show you is everywhere I go, I try and do something to change whatever we're doing. We are staying in this fantastic resort. I was hoping that Tanya would be here. I don't think she is. Tanya's the sales manager for the Opal Resort, Opal Cove Resort. I don't think she is here. But they have agreed. So when you're here next year, I don't know if any of you noticed what was going on in your rooms. So you've got single-use plastic. You've got soaps covered in plastic and lots of other little things. So I've spoken to them, and they've agreed that they're going to take up the challenge with me, like I do with our schools program. And in 12 months, so between now and next year when we come back here, I'm assuming you're coming back here next year, sort of drop that one in, for your 21st, they have agreed that they're going to go single-use plastic-free, and we're going to do the inventory and go behind the scenes and do all the work that we do to help companies go plastic-free. And when I worked in Hong Kong and I did the Healthy Oceans campaign, I actually was originally then working with Hilton Hotels. And I was the first person to implement for us to go green as a hotel in Hong Kong. So that was a much bigger picture of what we did. But what we're doing here is small steps. So with the Opal Cove coming on board, it's fantastic because they're going to take the charge and go all the way up and down the coast. So they are officially going to be our hotel here in this area to become single-use plastic-free, take up our challenge, which I'm really pleased about. So I'd like to give them a clap. I don't know if they're here or listening, but that's that. And our message is up there, and I'd like to thank Dale and everybody. And last but not least, we are a charity, so any donations are warmly welcome, and I'd love to speak to you all later. Thank you.